Salutations, fifth graders. Gracious greetings to Wit and Wisdom in Sync. I feel like shopping for something delectably and captivatingly intriguing today. Care to join me at the word market? This is wordplay. Let's get started. You will need a few materials for today's lesson. You'll need your copy of the Phantom Toll Booth, handout 9B, which is called a setting snapshot, your Wit and Wisdom in Sync journal, and a pen or pencil. If you need to retrieve or get any of these materials handy, please pause the video to do so now. With your classroom teacher, you read Chapter 3 of the Phantom Toll Booth, noticing and wondering about the city of Dictionopolis and some very wordy characters who claim to be the king's advisors. Oh, if you haven't had a chance to read Chapter 3 yet, pause the video now and read it. It's pages 32 to 44. So Milo and Tok reached the city of Dictionopolis, which is completely walled in, where they learned that it is a very special day. It's market day. They also met the king's advisors, who had all different names, but they all seemed kind of similar. Interesting. And at the end of Chapter 3, Milo and Tok decide to check out the market, or more precisely, the word market. What better shopping could there be than that? So what is a market? Well, it's a noun, and a market is a place where goods can be bought and sold. There are all different kinds of markets, so you might be thinking of one or another, but what sorts of things would you typically expect to find in a market? Share at least 3 ideas aloud. Well, based on what you've learned about the city of Dictionopolis and knowing how the author, Norton Juster, plays with words and ideas, what kind of things do you think Milo and Tok might find in the city's word market? Pause the video and jot down a couple of ideas in your journal. I have a feeling that you're onto Juster's wordplay, and you probably have some pretty good ideas about what to expect in the word market in Dictionopolis. So shall we head over there and see what there is to buy or sell? I'm going to read aloud the first few pages of Chapter 4, and I want you to close your eyes as I read aloud these pages in which Milo and Tok enter the word market. Try to visualize or picture the word market in your mind. Listen for the language that Norton Juster uses that appeal to your 5 senses. Ready? Close your eyes. Chapter 4, Confusion in the Marketplace. Indeed it was, for as they approached, Milo could see crowds of people pushing and shouting their way among the stalls, buying and selling, trading and bargaining. Huge wooden-wheeled carts streamed into the market square from the orchards, and long caravans bound for the 4 corners of the kingdom made ready to leave. Sacks and boxes were piled high and waiting to be delivered to the ships that sailed the sea of knowledge, and off to one side a group of minstrels sang songs to the delight of those either too young or too old to engage in trade. But above all the noise and tumult of the crowd could be heard the merchants' voices loudly advertising their products. Get your fresh picked ifs, ands, or buts. Hey-ya, 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 nice ripe wares and whens. Juicy, tempting words for sale. So many words and so many people. They were from every place imaginable and some places even beyond that, and they were all busy sorting, choosing, and stuffing things into cases. As soon as one was filled, another was begun. There seemed to be no end to the bustle and activity. You can open your eyes now. So, how did the author's description help you visualize the word market? What language appealed to your senses? Well, the author's description of the word market is an example of a setting snapshot. Remember that a snapshot is a description that uses all kinds of sensory language, which is language that appeals to the readers, in this case you, sense of sight, sound, smell, taste, and feeling. It helps the readers visualize a place, a character, or even an object. So in this part of the lesson, you will get to practice using sensory language to build on Norton Juster's description of the word market. In a moment, you will reread the snapshot of the word market, and this time you'll identify examples of sensory language, which is language that appeals to your five senses. To get ready to do this, open to a clean page in your journal and create a chart like this one with 5 columns, one for each of the 5 senses: see, hear, smell, taste, and feel. Pause the video and do that now so you'll be ready. So you are going to reread pages 45 to 47, ending at the line, "There seemed to be no end to the bustle and activity." And on your chart, I want you to record 3 to 4 examples of language that appeals to one of your 5 senses. You can choose a variety of senses depending on what examples you have. By the way, it is definitely possible that some examples might fall under more than one sense. For example, you might see and hear a crowd of people shouting, so that example might go under see and it might go under hear. And in this particular snapshot, you might not find any language that appeals to a certain sense, such as smell, and that's perfectly okay. If you want to listen to the read aloud of these pages, please feel free to replay that part of video from earlier. You know I love reading aloud from this book. Pause and complete this task now. Here are a few examples of sensory language that I found. And remember that some descriptions might appeal to more than one of your senses. For example, you could see the huge wooden-wheeled carts in your mind, but you could also imagine hearing the huge wooden-wheeled carts clickety-clacking over an old brick or cobblestone surface. So you could put it in either or both of those columns. How about this one? Get your fresh-picked ifs, ands, or buts. That seems like something I would hear one of the sellers calling out to try to attract the buyers. Thinking about the experience of actually being there helped me to identify an example of feeling. For example, I could imagine with that hustle and bustle and all the activity, there were crowds of people pushing. How is the word market another example of wordplay? How does the description on pages 45 through 47 help you understand this wordplay? Pause and think about that for a moment. So, the word market is like any other market you might imagine, except that words are being bought, sold, traded, instead of other things like food or other goods. After all, this is Dictionopolis, the city of words. Also, in the words market, people are selling words that have been freshly picked in the orchards. There are sacks, boxes, and cases of words ready to be sorted, bought, sold, and shipped. What else do you think you might see, hear, smell, taste, or feel in the word market based on the author's description? You are going to have a chance to imagine just that. For this check for understanding, you are going to write 3 to 5 of your own sensory details for the word market.